So he was born on 24th April 1921 and he lived up to 25th March 2019. You can imagine that it may be a story or a fairy tale, and he asked him to be genuine in his deeds. When two or more words close together in a line begin with the same consonant, creating different sound textures. Welcome dear students. I am Mrs. Reena, lecturer, Department of English at Vidhyaashram First Grade College, MYSURU. Today in this session, let us discuss the poem Once Upon a Time of 2nd Sem B.C.A. So here we will be going through the introduction to the poet, introduction to the poem, summary, theme, and the poetic devices used in this poem. So here is the introduction to the poet. The poet name is Gabriel Imomotimi Okara, or you can just say it as Gabriel Okara. So he was born on 24th April 1921 and he lived up to 25th March 2019. And he was a Nigerian poet and novelist. He was considered as the first modernist poet of Anglophone Africa. So he is best known for his early experimental novel, The Voice, that is in the year 1964. Next, and he was also known for his award-winning poetry, The Fisherman's Invocation. Then, The Dreamer, His Vision. In both his poems and his prose, Okara drew on African thought, religion, folklore, and imagery. Now, here is the introduction to the poem Once Upon a Time. So, when we hear this itself, you can imagine that it may be a story or a fairy tale. So, Once Upon a Time is a free verse poem that focuses on father's attitude to cultural change and times past. So, this poem focuses on a father's attitude towards the cultural change and the times past. So, before the incoming of Western culture. So, times past before the incoming of Western culture, which affected the native African way of life. So, in the poem, a father addresses his son, telling him in a rather nostalgic manner how things used to be. So, people were different back then. So, the people were different in the past, more genuine it seemed. He says to his son that the people in the past were more genuine. So, let me recite the poem here for you. Once upon a time, son, they used to laugh with their hearts and laugh with their eyes. But now, they only laugh with their teeth, while their eyes block cold eyes, search behind my shadow. There was a time indeed, they used to shake hands with their hearts, but that's gone, son. Now they shake hands without hearts, while their left hands search my empty pockets. Feel at home, come again, they say, and when I come again and feel at home, once, twice, there will be no thrice. For then I find doors shut on me. So I have learned many things, son. I have learned to wear many faces, like dresses, home face, office face, street face, host face, cocktail face, with all their conforming smiles like a fixed portrait smile. So when we read this poem only, we can make out that. So it's an easy manner. The poet is describing the way of life. So he's describing the past and the present too. And I have learned to laugh with only my teeth and shake hands without my heart. I have also learned to say goodbye when I mean good riddance. To say glad to meet you without being glad. And to say it's been nice talking to you after being bored. But believe me, son, I want to be what I used to be. When I was like you, I want to unlearn all these muting things. Most of all, I want to relearn how to laugh, for my laugh in the mirror shows only my teeth like a snake's bare fangs. So, show me, son, how to laugh. Show me how I used to laugh and smile. Once upon a time when I was like you. So, here the father speaks about the past and also present artificial life. So, he says that the past was very beautiful and all the people were genuine and they didn't had a false thought in them. But nowadays, in the present, people have become more mechanical and also whatever they does is artificial. So let's analyze the poem. The first line suggests that this poem is going to be based on a story. So that is, it may be a kind of story or fairy tale. So the poem starts like this, once upon a time. So that line itself indicates that it may be a story. The speaker is addressing his son here. So this could well be a father beginning to explain, or they, the word they indicates the people there, how people used to laugh with their hearts and eyes back in the past. So they used to wholeheartedly speak or laugh with their hearts and eyes. So in contrast, nowadays laughter is more of a show of teeth and the eyes are cold and looking for something other than the real person. Nowadays, when we see what the smile which we give to others, okay, so the smile which we have in a face, it may not be the real smile. So it is just an artificial smile which we have just to satisfy that person. But we won't be satisfied inside us. Just to satisfy the other person, we will be having a false smile in a false or artificial smile on our face. So already the present is judged by the past. And from what we can gather from these first 6 lines are that the speaker prefers the attitudes of the people from the past. So here the speaker gives importance for the attitude of the people of the past, not of the present. So there is a feeling that negative change is here. So when we go through the words of this or verses of this poem, we have the feeling of negative change here in the present world. In the first paragraph, he was talking about the laugh or the smile, genuine smile and the artificial smile. Now here he is speaking about the art of shaking hands. So usually when we see others and when we feel happy, when we see our friends or relatives, we shake our hands, right? So sometimes what happens? So when we see a person, we may not be happy, but for the formalities, we have to shake their hands, right? So we will be shaking the hands. But it's not from a wholeheartedly, we will not do that. For others' sake, most of the works which we do is to satisfy others. It's not for us. So to make others happy, if we are not happy also, we will act as we are happy to satisfy some other people. So here he says that the art of shaking hands has also changed. In the past, a greeting was genuine, a person welcomed for who they were. Okay, but nowadays people shake hands with one eye on your status, your financial status. Okay, so here he says that nowadays, if we are in a good status, okay, if we are stable financially, the person shakes the hands and he will be uh, very much eager to mingle with us. Other than if our status, financial status is low, no one likes to join with us. So here he mentions that people are no longer genuinely warm towards others. So people are on the make, wanting to get something from you. So if there is any benefit from your side, they will be ready to do all the, so they will act as they are genuine towards you. And in the next stanza, here he speaks about the social status here. People invite you round to their homes, making off as if you're important to them. But if you don't measure up socially or your status isn't quite right, you are not invited again. So here he speaks, some of your friends may host a party and they will welcome you. They say that you are very important. They will invite you. They say, you have to come, you are very important person in my life, like that. Here in the third stanza, he says that people invite you round to their homes, making out as if you are important to them. But if you don't measure up socially or your status isn't quite right, you are not invited again. Okay, so here he speaks about the social status. Okay, for example, your friend may host, a family friend may host a party and he may reach. When you became friend, he may not give importance to your social status and all. And when he reaches an high position, he will weigh that also. He will see whether even his friend is in the same status. You may be his best friend and he says that that person will invite you for the party, saying that you are very important person in my life and all. So this fellow, the friend, may be a simple person and he may go to the party. There, when the host see him in a simple manner, first time he accept him that in that way, and second time also he may accept because he is a close friend. He is a close friend of him. So second time also he may accept him. So he may invite him. But if it goes on, if this person's status is not equal to that person's status, definitely the third time he will not invite that person. So only he will invite, the host may invite the person who is equal to his status. So there he may not give importance for the friendship. The alienation continues. People nowadays are artificial and fickle because of the change in culture. In a party, all the people will be in their Western attire, and if one person goes in a traditional attire, they will treat them in different way. Next, in the next stanza, here the first three stanza outline the speaker's perception of changing culture and attitudes and values in his country. This fourth stanza describes how the speaker himself had to change and learn in order to act in accordance. So, in order to stay peacefully in the society, changing society, sometimes we are forced to change ourselves. So here he speaks about this. So the poet emphasized, Western culture were emphasized in their country. He has to change himself forcefully to adjust with the other people. So here he says, he uses a comparison faces to dresses to highlight the various persons it took on, all the while smiling. So he says, even though he was a genuine person in the past, due to this cultural change, even he had to change and he had to become artificial in his life. So he changes that even I had to change my style, change my smile, everything. So he says that even though I was a genuine person, I had to change into a artificial man. So the repeated use of face affixed to various places and situations is highly visual in this stanza. Next, in the fifth stanza, he also has become adept at the heartless handshake and hollow toothy smile. Plus, he knows how to deceive people with his farewells and welcomes and false politeness. So here, even the poet has changed, and he also started learning the negative things from the other people, looking at them and looking at how these people are treating him. He also started changing. So what are the changes he had to adopt in himself? That is heartless handshake. I explained before that whatever the people, if they are laughing, that was not wholeheartedly. Even handshaking was artificial. So everything was artificial. They didn't do with their hearts. So here he says that he also shake his hand and he has to show his hollow toothy smile. Okay. He also had to change the heartful handshake into heartless handshake, and the beautiful smile or the smile with hearts changed to hollow toothy smile just to show the teeth. Okay, then plus he learned from them to change the attitudes towards the people. Okay, so though if they don't like also, for the namesake, they will invite you, they will welcome you, and after that they will say farewell to you. So everything he adopted. Basically, so in our present society, if we don't change according to them, they will not accept us. So sometimes forcefully we may have to change our attitudes or our dressing style, whatever may be, outer look, according to the society to satisfy them, to live peacefully in a society. Sometimes we have to forcefully change ourselves. So basically, he is saying that he has become an integral part of this new culture. It's been quite an education for him. He says that. So nowadays, even he has become an integral part of that new culture. So that was an education for him. Then, in the next stanza, he says that, but he is not happy being a conformist. So, this is only an outer look. It is an artificial change in him. He doesn't like that. He says that he doesn't like that. He wants to be the old person in him. He wants to remain the same person how he was in the past. So he wants to regain a former innocence. He was an innocent man. He wants to regain that. The youngster still holds. He says that he wants to regain that innocence. He wants no part of this new culture and all this muting things. He says that he don't want to be the part of this new culture, and he is also advising his son not to follow the new culture, inculcate the values. He is asking him to inculcate the values which they had in their past. So that word muting means to deaden in this context. So he wants to give us full stop to all the artificial things in his life. So what he wants most is to be able to laugh in innocence again. He likens himself to a snake. His teeth hold something toxic, even dangerous. He says that now the smile which he is giving to others is not genuine. He compares to a snake. So snake, you can see that two teeth which is toxic or poisonous. So you can see the people here is saying that all the smiles which they give in front of that, it is not genuine, it may be poisonous. So inside they may, though they are giving a beautiful smile outside, artificial smile outside, inside some poisonous things will be there inside them. Okay, so they can think something negative on us, and some negative points will be there in their mind. Then he comes clean. He wants the sun to show him how to regain this lost innocence. Okay, so through his words, he even says the sun to regain this lost innocence. How to laugh and smile like in the old days when he was young and carefree, and the culture encouraged openness and honesty, a pure identity. So he says his child not to follow the present world, instead follow the past where it was completely filled with moral values or the values which were needed for the life, and to follow the genuinity, and he asked him to be genuine in his deeds. So the theme of the poem is there's a cultural shift, then capitalism, and about the values of the important values of the past. Next, let's look into the literary devices used in this poem, that is alliteration. When two or more words close together in a line begin with the same consonant, creating different sound textures. Okay, hands without hearts, these muting things, so show me sun when I was. Okay, next is assonance. When two or more words are close together in a line and have similar sounding vowels, again creating different sounds. So upon a time sun, like a fixed portrait, smile was like you, I want. And the next one is Sizzura, a break in a line when the reader pauses, usually through punctuation. So it's a break in a line where the reader pauses, usually through a punctuation mark. Example, feel at home. So here we are pausing there, and here the exclamation punctuation mark, that is exclamation mark, is used. Come again, they say, and when I come. Next one is enjambment. When a line runs on into the next with no stop or pause, maintaining the sense. For example, the first two lines of this stanza, and I have learned to laugh with only my teeth and shake hands without my heart. So here there is no pause at all. So it's continuous, this one lines. So only after the third line there is a pause. Next is simile. When something is compared to a different thing using the word like or as. For example, I have learned to wear many faces like dresses, with all their conforming smiles, like a fixed portrait smile, like a snake's bare fangs. So here the word like is used, and it is the simile here. So hope you all understood this poem, and this poem was about the cultural change, and here it was a conversation between a father and his son, and here father becomes nostalgic and he speaks about the past And also he says, and he advises his son to follow the moral values which were prevailing in the past. You have to read the poem well so that you will be able to answer the annotations. And in the next session, let us discuss the language component. Thank you. Stay safe.